So like I said, we've got 5.2, day 4, multiplying radicals today. Now the nice thing about multiplying radicals, as opposed to adding and subtracting them, when we're multiplying radicals, at least how we're going to do them today, when we're multiplying radicals, the only thing that has to be similar is the index. So in the case that I have here, our index is just going to be 2. That index is the same. And if the index is the same, we can go ahead and multiply them together. It doesn't matter what it is underneath the radical. They can be completely different. When we added them, both of those things had to be the same, or subtracted them. Both of those things had to be the same. That's not the case when you multiply. They can be two different things, as long as the index is the same. Kind of say if the index is the same, what's underneath the radical gets multiplied by what's underneath the radical symbol. So in this case, I've got radical A times radical B. The times symbol is just going to be a dot in most cases. It's going to be a solid dot. And then when you multiply that together, it just becomes radical. Index remains the same. And then you take A times B together. And you're done. Okay. Also, let's say that there's something outside of the radical. Say we have 3 radical A times 4 radical B. You multiply together what's on the outside of the radicals, and then you multiply together just like we did what's inside the radicals. And then obviously simplify. So this would be 12 radical A times B, whatever A, B is. Doesn't matter. Whatever A and B is, you're going to multiply them together, whether they're numbers, whether they're variables, whatever they are. You're going to multiply those things together. And again, the only thing you have to be aware of is that index piece right there. That index needs to be the same in order to multiply radicals together. Okay? So that's kind of our basic rule today. Now we need to apply that rule to different situations. First situation we're going to look at is we're just going to take them and say, okay, let's just look at them if we're just multiplying two things together. So we've got the 4th root of 6 times -2 times the 4th root of 2. We check the indexes. The index is 4. The index is 4. We're good to go. We multiply on the outside by what's on the outside. There's understood to be a 1 there. 1 times -2. We're just going to put that. That's -2. Times the 4th root. And I'll just write it this time. I'll probably never write it again. And then take 6 times 2. Simplify. And that gives you the 4th root of 12. 6 times 2 is 12. Now, you do need to make sure that it's in simplest form. So we've been breaking it when we get it down to one term. We've been breaking that down. We have to continue to do that to make sure it's in its simplest form. Well, that's 4 times 3, 2 times 2. Our index is 4, so we're looking for groupings of 4. We don't have that. So that then is in simplest form right there. And we're done. This is your solution. So let's take a look at the second one. We've got 5 radical 20 times -4 radical 5. Multiply check the radical first. Index is the same, so we're good. 5 times -4, that's -20. Radical 20 times radical 5. 5 times 20 is 100. Its square root. Square root of 100 is 10. So this is going to be negative 20 times 10, which is negative 200. And that's your solution. Again, making sure you break down that where did the 10 come from? The square root of 100 is 10. Some of you are making that common error that you take that square root of 100, you're putting the square root of 10. Remember that it's got pairs of 10 and 10, so it comes outside. Don't have anything left inside. Okay. Go ahead and give this one a try. Square root of 20 times 6 times the square root of 15. So we can go ahead and multiply them. So that gives us 6. And then radical 300. That gets you eyes in the nose. Now I got to fix it. So easiest way is 3 times 100. 100 is 10 times 10. That gives me a pair of things already. Since it gives me a pair of things already, I don't need to go any further. I can go ahead and circle those and then take 6 times 10 to get 60. And then we have the square root of 3 left. If you wanted to break the 10 down to 2 times 5 times 2 times 5, I mean, you can certainly do that. You've got 2 2s, so that's 2. You've got 2 5s, that's 5. 2 times 5 is 10. You get the same thing. It's just if you can find those pairs right away, find them and then move on. No sense in breaking it down anymore once you've found that number, whether it's 2 or 3 or 6 or 10 or whatever it is. Okay. Any questions so far? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Now we just need to make sure that we follow the basic rules then that we have for multiplication. So if we have to distribute, we have to distribute. So if we have radical 10 times, in parentheses, 4 plus radical 15, we have to distribute that radical 10. So we take radical 10 times radical 4. That gives us 4 radical 10. Plus, we also have to take radical 10 times radical 15. 10 times 15 is 150. Still need to follow the rules that we followed yesterday and simplify it, because maybe you can add these together now. Maybe they have that same radicand of 10. 10 we can't break down. It's 2 and 5. 150 is 10 times 15, 2 times 5, and 5 times 3. So it has this pair here. So we've got 4 radical 10, and just drop that one down, plus we've got a pair of 5, so 5 can come out. We've got just 1 2 and 1 3. 2 times 3 is 6. We can't add them together. Remember, they not only have to have the same index, but they have to have the same radicand as well, and they don't. So that is your solution. 4 radical 10 plus 5 radical 6. But again, it's following those rules that we have for multiplication. We have to distribute. Well, there's more rules. What happens if you multiply 2 binomials together? And we'll do this one together. So we've got the square root of 3 plus 2 times the square root of 3 minus 2. Remember, you have to FOIL this. First times first. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9. Outside. Radical 3 times negative radical 2. That's negative radical 6. Inside. Plus radical 2 times radical 3. That's plus radical 6. 2 times 3 is 6. And then last. Radical 2 times negative radical 2 is negative radical 2 times 2 is 4. First, outside, inside, last. Got to distribute. Radical 9 is just 3. Square root of 9 is 3. You know that. Those two can be combined because they have the same index and the same radicand. Negative 1 plus 1 just goes away. Minus square root of 4 is 2. I'm left with 3 minus 2 for a whopping answer of 1. All of that to get an answer of 1. So you have to FOIL. You have to use the distributive property. You have to use all of those rules of multiplication that we've used before. Now we're just putting radicals inside of there as well. So the last little bit here is I want you just to practice on your own here for a couple seconds. So there's 2 questions up there. Radical 15 times 4 plus radical 20. And then radical 5 plus radical 3 squared. Understand, please remember what it means to be squared. We'll go over this in about 2 minutes-ish, somewhere right in there. What's that? When you finish, just peek up to see how you did, and I'll explain them here in just a little bit. Okay, so the first one, we got 4 radical 15 plus radical 300. And I kind of, because we did radical 300 back here, somewhere, I don't know, we did radical 300 somewhere. I just kind of rushed through it. But, so 300 is 10 times 3, 10 times, 100 times 3, 10 times 10 times 3. Okay. So 4 radical 15 plus 10 radical 3. Radical 5 plus radical 3 squared. Remember, when you're squaring something, you're taking it times itself. You're not squaring the first term and the last term. So we've got radical 5 times radical 5. That's radical 25. Radical 5 times radical 3, radical 15. Radical 3 times radical 5, radical 15. Radical 3 times radical 3, radical 9. Square root of 25 is 5. You can combine these two terms in the middle. 2 radical 15. Square root of 9 is 3. 5 and 3 is 8. Okay. Any questions? We okay? So remember, when you're multiplying, index is the same. We don't care what's underneath the radical. What's on the outside is multiplied by what's on the outside. What's underneath is multiplied by what's underneath. And then make sure you simplify using the tools we've used for simplifying along the way. Same thing when you multiply. Remember to use the distributive property when you needed. Remember to FOIL when needed. And remember, when you square something, it means taking it times itself. Okay? Any questions? Should have plenty of time to get stuff done today. The worksheet for today is 5.2 part 4. I have put this in Schoology. You can use this as well. You're going to use this multiple days. This is going to be used today and tomorrow. You only have to do the multiplication ones today, which is 1 through 10. You do not go past 10. That's what we're doing tomorrow.